The world reacted with horror through May 1940 as Nazi Germany conducted an aggressive and brutal attack against France. Within a few weeks, German forces managed to defeat Allied positions, forcing British and French soldiers toward the sea coast. Around 400,000 soldiers as well as their forces found themselves sectioned at Dunkirk, facing imminent demise. The evacuation of hundreds of thousands at Dunkirk was later termed the Miracle of Dunkirk following this remarkable historical mission. Under the German blitzkrieg operational approach, the enemy forces suffered catastrophic defeats. The German armored divisions and combat forces marched ahead of Allied fortifications as they damaged everything on their path. German forces successfully penetrated through Allied defensive lines until they reached the coastline on May 20th, which enveloped the British Expeditionary Force, BF. Together with their French comrades in Dunkirk, they had nowhere to run. The oncoming German forces from land combined with their Luftwaffe Air Force turned the town and harbor into complete ruins through their aerial bombardment. Winston Churchill recognized that British Army destruction would lead to British defeat before the war properly started. The only hope? The evacuation across the English Channel became desperate because German forces had nearly surrounded the area, leaving the plan almost futile. Operation Dynamo began on May 26, 1940, when British forces began their strategy to rescue British troops through a dangerous naval operation. The Royal Navy deployed its war vessels, yet these ships proved insufficient to transport all troops, so they required more maritime resources. The nation of Britain made an exceptional move by asking civilians to provide assistance. Fishermen, together with yacht owners and ferry captains, responded to the national call by operating small boats towards Dunkirk in numbers reaching hundreds. The little ships of Dunkirk were formed from these makeshift vessels, which advanced under fire across the open water to rescue the stranded soldiers. German bombers found easy prey when they attacked the soldiers who were stationed on the beaches. The loud Stuka dive bombers descended from above to drop explosives which produced both fire and sand plumes in the air. The soldiers processed through waist-deep water lines while small boats carried them toward larger ships located at sea. Many never made it. Multiple vessels of the Luftwaffe sank while killing thousands of soldiers. But the evacuation continued. A remarkable turn of events unfolded when Hitler foolishly stopped his advancing tanks for 2 consecutive days because he believed aerial attacks by the Luftwaffe would triumph alone. Due to Hitler's timeout, the evacuation processes enabled additional troops to be taken off the beaches. After 9 continuous days of evacuations during June 4, 1940, British forces succeeded in rescuing 338,000 soldiers. Numbers who escaped the enemy exceeded every prediction. Britain lost many of its weapons systems, as well as sustaining significant casualties, but its main military force survived intact. Churchill declared this operation as the miracle of deliverance during his later recollection. The aftermath and Churchill's famous speech. Winston Churchill delivered his famed inspiring speech to British Parliament and his nation on June 4th, just after the conclusion of the Dunkirk evacuation. Our fight against invaders will continue until our final breath, while we take up positions first in France, subsequently at sea, then through the ocean waters, and finally in the air to protect our homeland. Our air power will grow stronger while we resolve to defend our island and its waters as well as continental resistance.